Right, can we have a big round of applause? We've got David doing some stand-up.
Woo! How do I follow that? Oh, it's too high for that. That's it, there you go. So, I'm David. I'm local. And just so you know, this is the very first time I've ever done stand-up, so I'm hoping it'll work out. Okay? So I actually came up here because I really wanted to share with you some true stories. I thought that it'd be a laugh. Anyway, true story that happened to me. Basically, I have a friend, I had a friend called Keith. I say I had a friend because after I tell the stories, he may not be my friend anymore. But I'm hoping he will be, and so I'm going to say I had a friend called Keith. And we used to go on road trips everywhere, okay? And we spent years going on road trips. I'm still trying to beg him to go on another one with me at some point. And basically, he had a car, he had a Vauxhall Corsa at one point, and we were going on this road trip, and when you go in the car, you'd start the engine and go duck, 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 duck. And that's because his car had a dodgy exhaust. And what he did was, a long time ago, the exhaust dropped off, and he thought the best way to fix this was to put an elastic band around it. So as you're driving down the road, as it hits a bump, it goes duck, 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 like all the time. So that was really funny. And we were driving up the road, and we went to a service station, and he bought some windscreen wipers. And I said, why are you wearing windscreen wipers? He said, I think my windscreen wipers are on the end, yeah? So we're driving up the road, and then we had that torrential rain like we had today, and it was just chucking it on the car and going up the motorway, and the windscreen wipers going flap, 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 and then they flew off. Literally, they flew off, this is a true story. And we pulled over, and I said, well, that was lucky you bought those windscreen wipers, wasn't it? You know, so he had them with the car, and he said, come and help me fit them. I said, no way. You know, chucking with rain outside, I am not going out there and fitting those windscreen wipers. He goes, I can't do them on my own. I said, well, it's your loss. So I just sat there in the car while I watched him get out and put the windscreen wipers on in the torrential rain, and he was struggling bad, but I just watched him. And then he finally got in the car, we started the engine, and the windscreen wipers went, and he realised he put the left on the right and the right on the left. No. So he had this thick black line down his side in front of him. That was quite funny. So on this trip, we're driving up the road, rain had stopped, and it got a bit dark, and we were in the country lanes, and the police came behind us, flashing lights and everything, and he pulls over, and he says to me, David, I just want to tell you a confession. I said, what's going on? He said, I've got 9 points on my licence, and if we get pulled over, that's it, the trip's over. So I said, okay, that's fine, that's what happens. Police come over, and he said to him, how fast do you think you were going? And he said, I think I was going about 60, 65, something like that. And they said, you're not from around here, are you? And he said, no, we're from Crawley, which is where we were living at the time. And he said, well, I hate to say this, but you're in a 30 zone. So he's there sweating like anything, you know. And they said, we'll have to talk about it. So he took the licence away, and he came back and he goes, we decided to give you a word of caution on this occasion. So we were like, you know? So that was quite crazy. Anyway, then, later on, that day, so this is my great weekend, you know, we were going camping with friends. Now, camping is one of those really annoying things which you do, which your parents drag you into when you're younger, and you think, this is the best thing. When I get older, I'm going to not make any of the mistakes my parents did when they went camping. Okay? But you never do. You make all the mistakes your parents made when they went camping, because that's what camping's about. You get 2 types of camping. You get the tent camping and you get the caravan camping. And we always had the tent camping. And in tent camping, there's only 3 types of camping you can get. The wet camping, the baking hot camping, or the freezing camping. And that's the 3 campings you get. So we had, on that particular day, the wet camping. Now, just go back in time. When I was younger, we used to go camping. I used to bring a keyboard with me. And because all my friends bought guitars, but, you know, I had a keyboard because I was a keyboardist. And I put the keyboard underneath me when I slept, because in a one-man tent, you can't fit a keyboard. So you just slap the keyboard down and you lie on top of it, okay? One day, it torrentially poured with rain, all my friends got washed out, and I was dry, because I was sleeping on top of the keyboard, and it basically the water level was where the keyboard was. So that worked out, okay? Anyway, back into the future again. we were driving and we went camping, and we had that torrential rain pour out, and they actually washed out the whole site, and we were to leave. And we drove down to a service station. We left the tent at the campsite, and we drove down to a service station, and we were totally soaked. And we decided to get ourselves freshened up, so we went inside the service station, and we're there freshening up and everything, and I said to my friend Keith, I said, Keith, I left something in the car. Can you give me the keys? And he goes, I ain't got the keys. I thought you had the keys. And I said, no, I haven't got the keys. And he goes, well, where are the keys? And I said, I don't know. So we go back to the car, and they're on the dashboard. But we locked the car. So they're inside the car. So I thought, okay, I can resolve this, okay? So he says, call the police. So he calls the police, and the police say, we'll smash the window. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. So he says, I said, have you got insurance? And he goes, yes, the insurance documents are in the car. So we didn't have any of the details of insurance or anything. So we decided, okay, let's go to the service station. So I went to the service station, and this is literally what happened. I said, I've got an announcement for everyone. And I said in a really loud voice, I said, does anyone know how to break into a car? And they were like, silence. And I said to Keith, this isn't working. I'm going to go table by table. So I went table by table, and I was asking everyone, do you know how to break into a car? Honestly, we're not criminals, we just want to know how to break into a car. And then we went up to this guy, and he was, how can I describe him? He looked like one of those Harley Davidson bikers, you know, with the leathers. He was the typical, look. And he was a truck driver. And he said, yeah, I got the tools in my van. So he actually went to his van, he brought out this big case, and it had in it the wires and everything. Like, why would he have that in his van, you know? So he brought it in, he got it into the car, and he unlocked the car, and that was brilliant. We got out of that. Easy, yeah? And then, so that trip was a nice trip, and Keith never forgave me for locking his car keys inside the car. And then we went on this trip a couple of weeks later, where I was moving to Jersey in the Channel Islands, and we loaded up the car with all my stuff, and we went on the boat, and when we got to Jersey, they pulled us to one side, and they brought out the sniffer dogs. Okay? So we had to sit on a wall, and Keith said, David, I have a confession to make. And I said, what's going on? He goes, well, a few weeks ago, I had a party, and my friends were doing cannabis in the car. And there is a chance there will still be cannabis in the car. And I said, you know, did you tell me this before we took the trip, you know? And he said, don't worry, I'm pretty certain it's clean, you know? And then we had the security came up to us, and they gave us a box. And they said, what's in the box? It was like a white box. And he was like, I don't know, I've never seen that box before. And then we were humming it over, and then he said, oh yeah, do you remember about 2 years ago, your brother had a wedding? And we did the DJing for the wedding. And I think that's the wedding cake. So we said to them, it's a wedding cake, you're welcome to have a look if you like. So the sniffer dogs let that go, and then we got through and everything was fine, okay? And I just thought that was really fun stories I wanted to share with you guys, and like I said, after confessing this on social media, whether Keith will still be my friend or not, who knows? Let's see if he forgives me for what I said. Thank you.
Hey!